Oh, hello there. Yeah, well, I thought I'd try. This is my good side, you see, because my dental catastrophe happened on the other side. So I was like, why am I shooting myself from the left side? I should shoot myself from the right side because I have teeth on that side. But yeah, um, when my mom was dying and I wasn't taking too good a care of myself, like from about 2013 to 2015. Um, yeah, I had some kind of weird domino effect on the other side of my face where one tooth got bad and then another tooth got bad and then I have just gone to the oral surgery dude on Friday, so I'm missing three in a row on the left side. So I'm like, well, on this side, I can smile and implants are like really expensive, but I was thinking, well, I can get like pay like two implants out of pocket because I don't want to be self-conscious about like having missing teeth. And this is a different age, you know. It's like even if you have coffee teeth like me and stuff, everything is so image conscious, and everything is about looks and everything. And it seems sort of silly for somebody in my situation to worry about such things, but I notice it when I look at my videos. I'm like, yeah, there's 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 something missing there. Um, but yeah, I'm having a real bummer of a day, so I thought I might as well get on here and try to be cheerful. Um, yet again, I have somebody that I'm close to, somebody that I trust, just kind of like out of the blue, smack me in the head, and I wish I could go into details about it for you, but you just can't do that kind of stuff on the internet. And, you just can't put everything out there. But, especially because it involves a certain amount of illegality. But, I mean, man, it's like when you're going through withdrawal from benzodiazepine, the last thing you need is like your trusted core people to fuck with you. And that's what's been happening with me for like months. It's like I got one person saying I told you so when they never told me anything. I said I had no idea how bad this was going to be. I had no idea how bad Xanax withdrawal was, and nobody told me. And the person's like, I did. And I'm like, why bother? Why bother even say that, even if it's true? And I have a very good memory. I don't remember anything like that. I don't remember any dire warnings. He might have said, I knew somebody that had a problem with it or something like that, but I didn't hear nothing like, dude, you need to be careful. There's no like serious like holding up a stop sign and blowing a whistle and saying, no, 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 don't mess with that stuff. But I went to the oral surgeon on Friday, and I don't even want to leave my house or be around people. And like even when I'm around people, I seem to be having problems with them. Like I said, trusted people. Like it's like, what? You just get unpleasant surprises. So I'm like, I got this oral surgery appointment coming up, and I can't go into a major hospital, interact with dozens of people, get an intrusive procedure in my mouth, and go through all this stress and worry. The whole reason you're going to an oral surgeon is because there's a possibility of complications, and they have the facilities there to deal with things if things go bad. And I'm like, I can't go through all that when I'm going through withdrawal. I mean, I can't put it off any longer because I've had the problem for so long. And if you know anything about getting an oral surgeon, in my area, it can take up to 2 months to get an appointment, and then you go to a consultation, and then it takes another month or a month and a half to actually get anything done. So if I would have missed this appointment just because I didn't feel good, it might be another 3 months before I get it dealt with. Can't have that. So I was like, well, I got to backslide. I got to take more. I'm just gonna call it dope instead of Xanax or benzos. I'm just gonna call it dope in this video. So I was like, I gotta take more dope. I was like, there's no way around it. So I took a double what my taper was currently the night before to make sure I could sleep, and then in the morning I took um not quite double, but you know how you cut a pill and pills break up and stuff. I'm not exactly sure how much I took, but I took some while I was waiting for my ride to get there, and then when I was sitting in the waiting room, I took another half. So we're probably talking 2.5 pills when in a 12-hour period when I've been taking a half a pill a day. So my math not being all that great, I think that's 5 times what I ordinarily take. Now, the next day I took a Valium during my last Valium I had during the day. They're just 5 milligram pills, and I'm like, I had tooth pain because I just had oral surgery, and of course they didn't give me any good drugs. They gave me like Motrin, which I have in the house. You know, what? I don't even know why they bother prescribing you, but they prescribe you like those really big pills that are equal to like 3 pills of what you can buy over the counter anyway. So you can just buy it over the counter and take 3 of them. But anyways, I lost my train of thought because, like I said, still going through withdrawal. But yeah, today was rough. Today was just it's just depressing. I mean, it's just rained around here. I watched the Cavs play a shitty basketball game and brooded a little bit about my situation and about nonsense that occurred, like I said, with somebody in my inner circle where I got more things to think about, which I don't need. I got this other person that owes me some money that's kind of, I don't know if they're taking advantage of my situation or what, but they know I'm going through withdrawal. And they know they owe me money. So they know I'm not going to going through withdrawal. I'm not going to aggravate myself and chase them around like a leg breaker trying to get my money back. So I don't get no phone call for them in over 2 weeks. I don't hear from, just to hear from and say, look, let's make arrangements. Just nothing. No communication, nothing. And I feel like, well, yeah, taking advantage of the situation. And that's another person in my inner circle. And it's like, yeah, I don't got a whole lot of people that are, I can trust both emotionally, financially, etc., etc. When I had that one person say, I told you so, which is it's never a good thing to say, I told you so, because whatever happened, happened. So there's no point in saying, I told you this would happen, unless, unless you want to say, like, follow it up with, next time, maybe you'll pay attention to me, or whatever. I've done that. Like, I had a friend that kept getting involved with bitches, not women, bitches. So I told him, like, the next time you get involved with a woman, and how guys get, where you're needy and desperate, and the little head takes over for the big head, and you're just needy. So you overlook everything. I'm like, do you want me to be like an impartial observer? Because he's coming back and crying on my shoulder about these women breaking his heart and stuff. And I'm like, the next time, because there's that honeymoon period where it's all new and fresh. It's a new woman. It's new, fresh, and exciting, and it can be fun for a little while. And I said, do you want me to let you enjoy that honeymoon phase, or do you want me to tell you that the person you're hooked up with is a bitch? Because I can see it from the outside and you can't. And I feel like I have the right to say that because dude's crying on my shoulder like, half a dozen times over different women. And it's like you can see it from the outside, like, this is not a good person. But anyways, that's not really an I told you so. That was an honest question. He just kind of glowered at me, like, like made a face at me, like a mean face, like, and I was dead serious. But I think he thought I was just making a dig on him or something. But I was dead serious. I mean, like, yeah, I could do that for you. I was like, you're getting blinded by your cock, dude. Basically, it's like you can't see past your own erection to see that this woman ain't no damn good. That she's a user and gonna mess with you. Uh, anyways, that's all. Back to my situation with my Xanax intake. Um, so I went back to a quarter of a pill after, I had the tooth taken care of, and it went fairly smoothly on Friday. And I came home, and Novocaine wore off, and I got sick. Like, I vomited. I don't know why that happened, but and then I woke up in the middle of the night with a splitting headache. Like, I don't get headaches. That's one thing I'm spared out of the 1,000 things that I do get. And the next day, I'm like, well, I'm taking a quarter of a pill no matter what happens. And then today, I took my quarter of a pill early in the day. I didn't feel very good. I didn't feel like eating. And I'm like, and now I'm ahead because my taper's been going very well, and I'm ahead on pills, and I have to call my doctor tomorrow to get a refill, because that's what he told me anyways. He told me he'd give me a refill. So tomorrow I make the call. I got like pills, like 4 pills left over, or 4 pills extra, and I've been taking half a pill, so I'm like 8 doses ahead. And I don't know, like today when you're all bummed out and stuff, it's like, and plus now the stuff's effective again because my tolerance is back down. So when I took the pill to go to sleep the night before I went to the dentist, it worked like a charm. And then when I had the headache in the middle, I forgot to say that part. I had a headache in the middle of the night. Like I said, I had extra pills. I took a pill, like a pain pill, since I couldn't get no good pain pills. Went right to sleep. And then, Saturday, quarter of a pill. Today, a quarter of a pill. Or what am I saying? A quarter of a milligram. But, I don't know. I'm just doing this video because basically so I don't use, frankly. Because I can't see no reason not to. I don't feel good. I'm not hopeful. I'm not cheerful. It's nasty here. I got problems upon problems. I have more problems with my inner circle of people that are not resolved, which I didn't need. So they say you gotta express your emotions instead of repressing them. So I can't be cheerful all the time and tell silly stories. For anybody who watches these videos, for the maybe 24 people that I talk to, but I always look at it this way. Like I have an audiobook on my channel right now, but I had done that before, and I read an audiobook, and like literally one person listened to the whole thing and thanked me for it, and I'm like, well, that's fine. So if one person watches this and enjoys looking at my mug and hearing my voice and the particular idiosyncratic arrangement of vocalizations emanating from my mouth. I almost pulled that off, not quite. Hey, that's good. It's a lot better than me just sitting there brooding, or me further backsliding on my taper. I mean, I got stories, but a lot of times I don't feel like telling them, just because so a lot of them I can't tell because they involve other people that, you just can't throw other people's business on the internet. And some of them I don't want to tell because I don't do them justice. They're really good stories, and they're interesting stories. Yeah, this isn't my first rodeo with addiction, but I managed to not be. I'm still a tobacco addict. So as long as I'm not around cigarettes, I'm good. My thing was cigars. I like cigars. I like to get high, smoke weed, and then smoke cigar afterwards. I had to quit both of those things. But I would smoke cigarettes too if anybody was around and they had a cigarette, because, even cigarette smokers are offended by cigars. But I didn't smoke the big, real cigars. I smoked the cigarillos, the smaller cigars. Uh, but anyways, I quit doing that, and I'm cool with that as long as I'm not around it. But as soon as even talking to the phone on with somebody and hearing them light up a cigarette, I want a cigarette. Or I'm watching TV. I was actually watching a Jason Statham, the Mechanic Resurrection movie, and the guy's putting explosives in cigarettes, and I'm looking at him and thinking, I could smoke around those. There's a chance they wouldn't explode. So even that made me want to have a cigarette. That's how pernicious that habit is, and how what a bad addiction tobacco addiction is. As I'm watching a guy put explosives in a cigarette, it's making me want to smoke. That's like if you got a problem with food and you're watching somebody going about poisoning somebody by injecting a cupcake with strychnine, and you're like, boy, that cupcake looks good. Which, of course, tobacco carries its own poisons, as we know, lots of them. But anyways, I'm just trying to find something to talk about, and it's just bored. I have hobbies, but I'm not up to doing them. And I'm not really, I should be like take up lifting weights again, but I don't feel like doing that. And, I was feeling like anxious while I was watching the Cavs just play a pathetic game. And I'm like, was just laying in a chair, and I'm like, my heart doesn't really feel all that good. I started thinking about that, and, that's what led me to, the benzos in the first place was, worrying about having a bad heart. And, it's a legitimate worry because at any time I could end up in an emergency room or an ambulance if my heart decides to go south on me. And I don't know if that's part of the CRPS deal or not, because your heartbeat isn't regulated by your autonomic system, and that's autonomic disease. So I always thought of my disease as like below my heart, like from the rib cage down, but it could be spreading. And I got worries upon worries, peoples. There's like different kinds of anxiety, and I've always been an anxious person. Don't get me wrong. I grew up in around, like I said, my dad was a fun guy. I grew up in a chaotic situation where you never knew what was what. Kids need consistency. They need to know that 1 minute they need to know, like, there's consistent rules here to become like a stable personality. Or you can have chaos and you can have an interesting personality. Yeah, that's how you make interesting. I'm just going to make me an interesting kid and just like torture him by not letting him know what the hell is going to happen the next minute. I remember, here's a story I can tell. I remember I was at my cousin's house. I actually spoke to him on the phone. I don't think he'll have a problem with me telling the story. And so we're playing cards and we're pretending like we're adults and stuff. We're like pre-teens or something like that. And anyways, as gross as it is, dipping snuff was the thing back then. Putting a little pinch between your cheek and gum with the Copenhagen and the snuff and all that stuff. This is back in late 70s, early 80s, somewhere around there. And so we're all sitting around the table playing cards. And his dad going to sleep to wake up for work in the morning. So we're sitting there and we're making all kind of noise, man. We're having a good old time pretending, playing poker for whatever we were playing, pennies or whatever. And, spitting in, it's disgusting teenage boys spitting in jars with tobacco juice for spittoons and having fun, but we made lots of noise. So the next night, my cousin's like, listen, my dad didn't have no drinks tonight, so we need to be quiet. And when I mean quiet, I mean quiet. So I'm like, okay. Everybody took him dead serious, and we were as quiet. I mean, we barely spoke, but we played cards and did the tobacco routine and everything. And he couldn't sleep. And he was just, We put this as succinctly as possible. Not a nice person. So he comes out raging. He's like, don't you know, don't you little so-and-sos know that I have to work in the morning? And he lined, there's 6 kids there. So he lined them all up and whipped every one with a belt. And I'm there, and I'm like, this is really happening? And, it's kind of weird because the kid that gets whipped first in that situation, he's going to get the worst of it because that's it's an anger thing. You should never punish your children in anger, but it's an anger thing. So his anger at being sober most likely and having to work in the morning was taken out on the first kid. So, but the first kid gets it over with. If you're the 6th or the 5th kid, you got the joy of anticipation while you're hearing these other kids get whipped and crying and stuff. So, yeah. Now I think about it, this might be a horrific story to some people. But anyways, I don't know where I was in line, but I wasn't first. But I was like, this is really happening. This is going to happen. So I had my turn, and I got whipped. And then I went home, and I'm like, listen, I got my dad that occasionally whips me at home, and I got my uncle whipping me over there. I was like, I'm only having one person whip me. This is ridiculous. So I talked to, my dad asked me, like, how'd you enjoy visiting over at your uncle's house? And I played it as cool as a cucumber. I was like, oh, it was all right. He goes, what do you mean? He's like, well, it was okay. He goes, what happened? I made him drag it out of me just so I didn't seem like I was doing what I was doing. Sly kid. And I was like, yeah, well, I guess we made some noise or something. And, so he had to whip us. And he was like, he whipped you? And I was like, yeah. Man, he jumped in his truck and he went over there and spoke to his brother, and his brother never touched me again. And, yeah. That's when you're a kid. That's when you do that, when you're that young, take care of yourself like that. Yeah. So that happened. I spoke to my cousin, who was one of the kids that got whipped today. A little bit older than me today. I like him. And he lives down south. I spoke to him today, long distance. Yeah, this is probably going to be a boring video because, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just trying to stay sober. And I got up real early in the morning. I got up before it was light out, so that's a good thing. I did doze in the chair during the waiting for the Cavs game to come on, and I should have. It was weird. I wanted to watch the Indians game. That got rained out. And then I wanted to watch this other baseball player named Ohtani. That's the talk of the major leagues, that he pitches and he hits. And that game got rained out. And yesterday, I wanted to watch the Indians. The Indians got rained out yesterday. And then I started laughing because I turned on the Raptors game, and they said it was delayed because of a plumbing issue, a water leak. So water was just ruining all my sporting events, even inside basketball game. Apparently, the Raptors game was delayed because they had a water issue in the building, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, I dozed a little bit, so I don't know if, I have a sleeping pill that puts me in a foul mood in the morning that's very effective, named quintiapine or something with a Q, and I have hydroxyzine, which doesn't do a whole hell of a lot at low doses, but I don't like the way those pills make me feel. They don't really agree with me. And I don't know. Just, because it'll make me feel better, I'll probably tough it out tonight. And, I got extra Xanax. But I don't think I'll take it. I mean, I can't say, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I can't say for 1,000% sure that I won't knuckle under. And I did kindle, I don't know if you can call it kindling, but I did take like way more than I was used to taking to get through my oral surgery. So yeah, this whole process has just been awful as far as like, and I don't know if I can blame like my family's. It's probably the situation where like my friends and family have always been problematic and difficult, but I've been okay. I didn't have an addiction thing going on, so I was able to be patient and just like let things go and be all zen and Buddhisty about it. And once I got the addiction, then my nerves much more fried, much less patient with them. I don't think it's like that's they're turning on me. You know, they're just all turning on me. I did have a relationship with one of my very most trusted people, like just totally destroyed in December. But at that point, I was on a double dose. I was on a lot of Xanax. That had nothing to do with me withdrawing or anything like that. But through this withdrawal period, the last thing you need when you go through withdrawal because it's hard enough to deal with anything at all. It's hard enough to deal with anything. So the last thing you need is people in your life that you depend on and are close to you, messing with you in any kind of way. You know, you got to have people that, if not supportive, that just leave you alone. You know, like I got somebody that I haven't heard from at all, barely at all through this whole process, and it's just as well as far as I'm concerned, because I've had issues with the person in the past, and I don't need anybody making it worse. I'd rather be alone and go through it alone than have friends and family messing with me about it, and telling me I told you so, or taking advantage of the fact to not return loans and this other thing going on where I can't really say much about. It's like, I don't need this extra garbage. I don't need this. Because I'm not over this. I'm still going through withdrawal. I don't know if you can tell that from listening to me and looking at me, but I'm still going through it. Just because I'm doing real good, I mean, I'm doing a lot better than definitely I was, and like other people have told me that I got off easy, and I agree. I talk to people that go through this stuff for months, and I actually was able to talk to my doctor and finally get him to listen to me. So unless he's lying to me, I don't have to worry about getting dropped off, which is what everybody fears. Nobody wants a cold turkey. And then these people make me angry. They're always talking about, one of the first person that talked to me on the internet about this said, you may not want to hear this, but the only way you're going to get off of this stuff is the cold turkey, is to just stop taking it all together. And I was like, no. And then you read like professionals, like you read the Heather Ashton manual or something like that, and it says that slow tapering is more effective, and there's no reason for the patient to be excessively uncomfortable going through the process. And it all makes perfect sense if you think about it, because everybody's an individual. And I was able to handle a 50% reduction and go through depersonalization and severe seasickness feelings and, like confusion and paranoia and all this other stuff. And I kept my sanity because I'm an old man and I've had a lot of experience. But if I went through that experience 20 or 30 years ago, I'd be calling 911. I'd be in a psychiatric unit. They might have me in a rubber room, if you want to use that old-fashioned metaphor. And they'd still do restraints. I've never been in restraints, but, so I don't even know what started me on that, because like I said, I'm just having a couple of bad days in a row here. So yeah, you're get what you get, I guess. But yeah, I'm not going to be able. I'm not going to be able to keep all the through lines in my patter together today. I mean, there's many faces to the benzo sufferer, and I had some really good days where I did video. I had a really bad day where I did a video, and today I'm not having a good day. cheerful because I'm glad I have something to do, and why not be cheerful? Why be all doom and gloom? Like Yogi Berra said, 90% of life is half mental, and it's even in the Heather Ashton manual, it says your head has to be in the right place to even attempt withdrawing off of a benzodiazepine. You have to have some positivity, and that's why I try to be positive on these videos, and that's why I try to smile and laugh and joke. And that story's funny to me about getting whipped as a kid and then using my dad against my uncle. And I don't know if I got my uncle beat up. I don't really know. We're talking about some hardcore people here, so that's a funny story to me. That might be horrific to some other people. A lot of my stories might be horrific to people, like talking about cutting my leg and all, almost bleeding to death and getting real sleepy and sitting in a pool. That stuff's all funny to me, but it might not be funny to somebody else. It all depends on your sensitivity level. I've been through so many bad things that I can laugh at. I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to like injury and pain and stuff. Like I tore my rotator cuff. About a year and a half, 2 years ago. I had like a dream guitar, right? I had this guitar that's was a nylon synth guitar made by Carvin, and it lists for like $1,800 or something like that. I'm left-handed, so if you know anything about that, a left-handed guitar is automatically more expensive than a right-handed guitar because only a moron like me would learn how to play left-handed. So I buy this guitar, and I'm all happy about it. 2 days later, it was summertime. I had a fan sitting on the floor because I have one air conditioner, like in a window air conditioner, and I had it in my bedroom. So I would open my bedroom door, and I run the air conditioner, and I put a fan on the floor so that the cool air gets drawn out into other rooms in my apartment. That day, that wasn't a good idea because I fell, and when I fell, my arm went up and hit the edge of the fan, like right here, and bent my arm clear behind my head like this. And I shouldn't have done that. But with all my weight coming down and forcing my arm behind my head, and it tore my rotator cuff. Right? And yeah, I'm not a tough guy when it comes to pain and stuff like that. I just get amused by stuff that's, maybe horrific to other people. But yeah, when that happened, oh yeah, I just laid on the floor, and I don't remember crying because I'm not a crier, and that's only because I'm conditioned not to be that way from CRPS because it makes the disease worse if I cry. But I laid there and I'm like, how the hell could this happen? I'm like what the fuck? I'm just laying there like, what the fuck just happened? And I knew I injured myself real bad, so I had a torn rotator cuff for that bothered me for a year. And my morning ritual, every morning I'd forget, and as I'd wake up, and I'd reach up like this to hit the light switch and scream. I started every day with a scream for 6 months. And I would forget every morning. It's just, I'm old. And the habit was so ingrained. Like you reach up, you turn on the light when you wake up. But if I moved my arm up past a certain height, stabbing pains from the rotator cuff injury. So I didn't go to the doctor for it because my sister had the same injury, and they were like, you just need to let it heal. It healed up, It healed up. But yeah, the point of that is like I'm not no tough guy, man, just because I tell those stories about being cut and I think they're funny. At the time, I'm freaking out just like anybody else would. It's just that they're fun, it's just I can laugh about them in retrospect after time goes by. But no, I'm kind of squeamish, actually. I mean, I don't enjoy the sight of my own blood, and I don't enjoy getting hurt. And when my rotator cuff was injured, yeah, that was hard. It's hard living like that with one arm that worked and one arm that was hurting you, and I could barely use it. And no, there's no through line at all on this one, folks. There's going to be no coherency. You will find no coherency and no plot and no underlying theme here. This is just me killing time. Um, yeah, I don't know. Uh, I'm thinking like a month, and I should be back to normal, but I don't know. Who knows how long this process takes? I was really like, I got off easy because I had really hideous withdrawal for 2 weeks. And a lot of people have it for a lot longer than that. So, in 2 weeks, I lost 12 pounds. And touch and go as far as my sanity. Had a lot of, I couldn't even watch TV, so that, anybody that's going through this longer than that, they're a lot tougher than me. I'm not no tough guy. They're a lot hardier than me. If you can go through that and keep any semblance of your sanity at all. For 2 weeks, I was ready to, like I said, if I had a gun in the house, I wouldn't be here. It's like I didn't know how long it was going to last, and I knew that there was a chance that it could last a long time, and I'm like, I can't do this every day. And without getting too serious or downerish or depressing or whatever, once I sober up from this, I got CRPS to look forward to. I got a bad knee that got x-rayed 6 months ago that they said there's nothing structurally wrong with it, and I'm having trouble walking. So I got problems upon problems. It's not like I'm going to kick this and be skipping down the road singing a merry tune. But I'll tell you what, there won't be no more worrying about a doctor having control of my life, and I won't be counting pills. That's the thing that was really annoying to me, is like I'd be taking out my pills every day, at least once, putting them on my chest while I was laying in bed, counting them out and saying I got this much here and this much here. That's how frightening withdrawal is. It's like it was like an obsessive compulsive thing. I won't be doing that anymore. And I won't be having random people plunge me into withdrawal just because of incompetence, where they fail to write a script on time. And I learned the hard way to stockpile at least a couple of pills, because that can happen. They don't seem, I don't know, like a lot of you people say, benzo awareness among doctors does not exactly flourish in the world. And so they're like, it's no big deal, so you go 48 hours cold turkey. You're calling them saying, look, I'm going through, like I've said a few times now. It's like, look, I'm going through cold turkey, and I got AFib arrhythmia and a heart condition. And I said, the doctor himself said that I can't be dropped off these pills. You need to tell him to, that this is happening, that I'm going through withdrawal. And I was like, that's as strident as I got about it. That's pretty much what I said to him. They're like, okay, we'll tell the doctor. No results. Nothing. And, I had called earlier in the morning, and they gave me the don't call us, we'll call you routine. Like, basically you can read between the lines and the tone of voice and stuff, like, quit bothering us about this. And it's like, yeah, if you were going, yeah, if the roles were switched, lady, and you were going through this, you'd be a lot whinier than I was about it. I called once a day for 2 days, and then the third day I called twice. I called 4 times in 3 days, as a matter of pride, because I'm like, I'm not going to be like begging these people. You want to beg because withdrawal being what it is, but I'm like, I'm not begging these people. I was like, I gotta have some kind of pride. They're not doing their jobs, and I can't make them do their jobs. How many times do I have to call them? How many times, I know the squeaky wheel gets greased, and the guy that makes the fuss, and he gets the attention and stuff. But in that case, I was like, I don't want to be like blowing up their phones. They'll make them think I'm even worse. They'll make them think I'm a junkie. And of course, I'm physically addicted. That doesn't mean I'm mentally addicted. But the physical torture when you're physically dependent is bad enough. But I knew I know I'm not psychologically addicted, because I went through withdrawal where I was just having depersonalization and completely miserable, and the pills were literally within arm's reach of me the whole time, and I stuck to the 50% reduction that the doctor put me on, even though relief was just sitting right there beside me. So I knew that if I could do that, it's not like a psychological thing. I mean, it's going to be difficult when you say goodbye to something like this. It's going to be difficult. I mean, even when I was smoking weed, it took me being high in an ambulance twice to figure that shit out, that this isn't for me, because you hear all your life how marijuana is harmless, and a lot of people are like, you should try like marijuana for in different forms. I'm like, yeah, I can get medical marijuana. I was like I got a heart thing, and it seems to aggravate my heart. I don't have a normal body. That's just further proof that I don't have a normal body. The CRPS makes me an alien life form. So when I was getting high, a lot of times you get the really good bud, and it makes your heart beat really fast. And then with me, that would make me have arrhythmia. So, I was like, well, goodbye to that. But it took me 2 times in the ambulance and going to the ER high twice to figure that out. So saying goodbye to this, to Xanax, I don't know what that's going to be like. You guys might disapprove, but what I plan on doing is, I don't know if he's going to write me the same script I had last month, but I plan on keeping it around in the house. And because when I have to go to a surgery or something like that, it's effective. The addiction process happens when you take it every day. And it's not like I'm going to forget this experience, and I can go back and look at these videos and see what I was like, to see the incoherency and the despair in some of them. And, this is like a 42-minute video of just a guy rambling so he doesn't mess with that stuff. That's what this video is. So, but yeah, I plan on keeping a bottle of pills around here, a bottle of Alprazolam on my shelf, and then if I have something like very serious going on, then I can take it and use it as it was intended. My doctor prescribed it for me as a sleeping pill, where I was taking it every day, and that's how he first prescribed it for me. And you can't take the stuff every day. It changes your GABA receptors, the way they function, and your GABA uptake. You can't do that. But you can take it. That's how it's intended to be used. And I'm not talking about like what they say, it's indicated for a 2 to 4 week period. No more than that. Now, why doctors know that and prescribe it to people like me for, instead of 2 weeks, 2 years, or so with some people's cases 20 years, I don't know. They know that it's what it does to you, and they know that it's only indicated for a 2 to 4 week period, and it's not a long-term fix, and it's they know it's detrimental to you in the long term. So why, I'll never understand that. But yeah, I do plan on keeping a bottle around, and I know what kind of poison it is, and I know what it's done to me. But I also know that it actually helped me get through that oral surgery appointment, and because I do have legitimate anxiety, but I was prescribed that stuff in the wrong way as an everyday thing. And then, he made it worse. The doctor, I'm saying, made it worse by doubling my prescription. And instead of just taking it at night to sleep, I started taking it in the daytime too. His idea. I mean, I started doing that because I had some serious stuff going on. And I told him, and like I said in the other video, and I don't mean to be redundant, I told, what he should have told me was like, look, that wasn't a good thing that you did, so here's your regular dose. Just try to do better this time, because they can't leave you in withdrawal unless they're sadistic. My doctor's not that bad of a guy. They're not like other people's doctors. So, but instead, he went ahead and said, oh, you're taking it twice a day when you weren't supposed to? Okay, here's a bottle where you can take it twice a day. Here's double the amount of pills. that turned out to be a horrible decision by him and a horrible decision by me to roll with it. I mean, I just been going through some emotional stuff and some bad things for quite a few months. And the drug itself doesn't help that. What I'm talking about is like individual isolated events where you have something where the anxiety is plaguing you, and like something serious like an oral surgery, and you can't eat and stuff. And I'm not talking, I'll never take it every day again. That's never going to happen. I know what happens. I know what I went through, and I'm still going through. But I don't know how it's going to be saying, well, this is my last everyday pill, and putting that pill bottle up on the shelf and saying, we're done. My dad did that with alcohol. Like he had like a bottle of Jack Daniels, where I guess he used to like to drink, and I think he did it on purpose just to remind himself that he was able to do that. But I remember like way up above the kitchen sink in the cupboard, there was always like 3/4 of a bottle of Jack Daniels. And of course, as kids, we stole some of it, drank out of it, and put water in there and marked the line. Like he wouldn't notice. It was probably 95% water by the time we moved out of the house. But yeah, it's just medications like that. They're just a tool to be used, and you use a tool incorrectly, bad things happen. And I don't know why they prescribe this to people over long periods of times where they get dependent upon them. I know that there's people that have severe anxiety problems that are completely dysfunctional without it, and that's a different case than what happened with me. I did have a lot of anxiety at the time, and I did need a little help, but you can't be, it's just going to make it worse. You can't, that's not going to help your anxiety to, like I said, I just gave myself another problem. It didn't help my anxiety to acquire a physical addiction, a chemical addiction. That's, and to go through all that, and then to have friends and family not understand it, not understand how bad it is, because you don't understand how bad this is until you go through it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm wasting y'all's time, I guess. Like I said, I'm just trying to stay sober. It's getting dark here. I got this setup that's kind of funny, where the neighbor's got dogs. I got 2 cats I take care of. The neighbor's got 3 big dogs. One of his dogs attacked my cat on my porch in the apartment that I'm renting out. And so I had words with his son, and I talked to him about it. And I was like, well, I got to figure something else out. I can't even use my own porch, but they can't control their dogs. And you can't control the cat for sure. So I have like a weird setup where it's the first floor. I'm a first floor apartment, but going toward the back of my apartment, toward the bathroom window, the land slopes off severely. So it's like a 14-foot drop. So I rigged up food dishes that I put on spider wire fishing line. At first, I'm using a different type of line now. But anyway, I used spider wire fishing line, and I tied up these things like a little container for food, and just like lower it out the window to the animals. And then I figured out, well, I can't, there's a lot of animals around here because there's a mini woods behind my house, and there's a nice stream and everything. And I'm like, well, I got to train my cats, because they kept going to the front with the dogs to eat. So I got to train my cats to go in the back. So I was like, well, how can I do that? My brother's really good at training animals. And he's like, well, what you do is you buy a bell, just like a school bell. And he said, you don't ring it until they're eating their food. And I said, you wait until you see you can get them back there, and then they're eating their food, and then you ring the bell, ding, 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 ding. And they'll associate the bell with food, and then you ring the bell first, and then they'll come and get the food. Well, that worked like a charm. They figured, they figured out the old Pavlov's Pavlov's dog bell thing real quick. The problem was every other animal in the neighborhood did too. So I got raccoons that I got to worry about feeding raccoons. I got to worry about feeding possums. I fed groundhogs. I fed the neighbor's dog, which I yelled at, and I've only seen him back there once, but the neighbor's dog actually came all the way around and was eating the cat's food that I lowered down on those long 14-foot strings down to the concrete down there. And yeah, that one day it was dark, and I can't feed, I forget sometimes to feed them before dark, but it was dark out, so I put the food in the dish, and I'm lowering out the window in the dark, and I feel something pulling on it, and I'm like, what the hell? And I got a little flashlight there, and I shine a flashlight down. There's a raccoon, and he's got his hands on both sides of the dish pulling on it. He didn't want to wait for it to even hit the concrete. He wanted to grab it out of the air because there was another raccoon behind him, and he's like, no, this is for me, dude. And so he's got both hands, because they got like human type hands almost, and he's got a hold of it, and he's pulling it, and I'm like, let go, because I don't want to, I can't afford to feed raccoons. Raccoons can eat pounds and pounds of food. They can make that stuff disappear like you couldn't believe. So I'm happy to feed them, but I'm not feeding them the good cat food. I'll feed them something else. But anyways, so I'm playing tug of war with this raccoon. I'm like, let go of that dish, let go of that dish. And I'm pulling on it. And they're amazingly strong animals, And I did win the tug of war battle I had with them, but all the food spilled, and they all got the food anyway. But yeah, that was funny. I looked down there, and he's got he's up on his back legs, and he's got his hands on that dish, just dragging it down. I've seen as many as 3 raccoons out there at a time, and they're nocturnal animals, so I really can't get away too often with putting food out there. And they eat so fast, and they eat so much that my cat begged at the front porch, and I was like, oh, okay. And that's usually how it works when he wants food. He like looks in at the window at me in the front, and then I go around the back and I make a dish of food for him, and I lower it down and I ring the bell. So he begs for food in the front. I go in the back, and this is around sunrise, and I put the food in the dish, and I ring the bell, and I go back around to sit in my chair, wake up and drink my coffee, and the cat's still at the window. And I'm like, what are you doing still at the window? And then I go back immediately before even sitting down and look out there, and that's how much they eat. That food was already gone. Just the time to walk through my house and then back to the window, that dish was empty. That raccoon ate all that food. And I said, what you doing? They're used to me now. I talk to them and stuff. I'm like, what you doing, man? And I was like, you ate all that food. Well, you're not going to get any more. And yeah, I'll buy them like cans of corn. They love corn. And they don't have, cats obviously don't like corn. So I'll put a dish of corn out there for them or something. Because I like raccoons. I think they're very cool animals. They do. I saw a rabid one around there, and they're one of the animals that's subject to go rabid, along with squirrels and other animals, rodents of any kind. And people are kind of like against raccoons, but I think they're the coolest animals walking. Love them things. So yeah, I don't mind feeding them, and they're really cool. Like they can kill a cat. I mean. The cat is no match for them. They can take on a dog. They can take on a 60-pound dog, 70-pound dog, and make that dog back the hell off. So, but the way they are with the cats is they just walk up and say, hey, buds, how's it going? We're going to eat this food here. And they just, there's no conflict. The cats know where they are on the food chain. So that one day I looked out there, and I swear to God, I saw the biggest raccoon I've ever seen. My cat's like 10 or 12 pounds. It looked like a kitten next to it. And my cat's sitting there washing itself beside the raccoon, and the raccoon's chowing down on his food dish. He's just kind of chilling. And they're like literally within 3 feet of each other. And they know where they are on the food chain, so there's no conflict. There's no fights. There's no hissing or nothing. The raccoons come, and the raccoons are like, hey, buds, how's it going? We're going to eat this food now. You can watch us if you want. There's not going to be any left over, though. So... Yeah, so I like that about them, because they actually are omnivorous and they eat meat, and but they get along with cats fine. Cats, they're cool with them, and they don't even if they're hungry, they won't. They just, I don't know what it is about them like that. I mean, they're meat eaters. I mean, if I have like some past due hamburger or something, I'll throw it out the window for them, and they'll scarf it up. And I don't know how my neighbors feel about me, because a lot of times, like, people think of them as vermin or whatever, because like any animal, and I mean literally any animal, they'll get in trash cans, and they're really good at it because they're smart, and they got those hands where they can open up trash can lids, and they can climb into 4 or 5 foot tall trash cans and open up they'll literally open up the lid and get in there. And but yeah, I think they're very cool animals. Um, so the process continues, as far as, I'm still scratching myself and fidgety, and process continues as far as me adjusting. This is the 33rd day since since my dose got cut by 50%, and about the 16th day since I decided to cut it another 25%. And I'm just really taking what's almost a token amount, just to keep a little bit of the edge off. I just don't feel like I'm ready yet to say goodbye to it. And all those people with their, rip it off like a Band-Aid, they're talking, okay, irresponsible people. They don't even do the research on it, but they're like, I read one guy that he was like, you got to cold turkey it, because if you do a slow taper, it's like pulling a Band-Aid off slow. And I'm thinking, listen, you rip a Band-Aid off, chances are you ain't going to die. You go cold turkey on this stuff, and you're taking higher doses of it especially, you're risking your health in a severe kind of way. And oh gosh, people like that, I just want to slap them, just because they're so irresponsible. Do some research, for God's sakes. There's 2 types of withdrawals that can kill healthy people: benzodiazepine withdrawal and alcohol withdrawal. They can kill healthy people. Somebody like me with the compromised health, or somebody else that's got and you got these people on here telling people to cold turkey. I had a guy telling me, don't know shit about my deal, about my condition, telling me, dude, you don't want to hear this, but the only way you're going to get off that stuff is the cold turkey. Well, I got news for you, dude. I'm almost off of it, and I didn't cold turkey. So there. Maybe I'll go back and write him that, because that comment's still up there. But he wasn't too coherent either anyway, unless English wasn't his first language. But yeah, don't go taking random advice from anybody on the internet, me included, without doing some research of it first. And you know yourself, and you know your own body. So when that's why it's ridiculous. Like when my doctor was like, it should take you about 30 days to get off of this stuff. I'm an individual, man. It takes as long as it takes. Some people can get off it quicker maybe than 30 days, and some people it might take a few months, or some people it might take longer. Everybody's an individual. That's why you got to have that's why you need to listen to the patient and let the patient have some input and control of his own taper, because not only does that reduce anxiety, and all these medications are supposed to treat anxiety, it reduces anxiety to have control of your own situation, but you're the only guy that knows how much you can take. I mean, why the hell should anybody get such a reduction like I had, to where you're looking at your own hand and you're like, for a few seconds, whose hand is this? You're flirting with psychosis when it's not necessary. It's not necessary, that torture and stuff. It's the kind of stuff I went through for even that brief time, where I'm like, you feel like you're flirting with insanity and all that. It's ridiculous. And I don't know why. There should be, this stuff's been around a long time, so there should be like some serious clinical research out there. If the doctors are lazy and they don't research it, or if they don't understand the whole thing about people being an individual. But man, that one visit where I went to my doctor and was just ignored. I mean, like I wasn't even there. And it's like, no, you got to listen to what the patient's telling you. Everybody's an individual, and everybody has different tolerance levels to what they can take as far as withdrawal symptoms. And there is no reason for anybody to go through even what I went through for just a couple of weeks, where you're flirting with the psych unit. If I had, like I said before, if I hadn't had experience um, dealing with all kind of suffering and all kind of odd mental states and whatnot, I'd be in a psych unit for sure. Just over what was done to me, and I wasn't even cold turkeyed. I was just 50% reduction, and I was having depersonalization, and I was to the point where I couldn't watch TV. I could barely put a sentence together, because I don't think there's any videos of me on here when I was in. Uh, I think there might be one where I was in full withdrawal, still, where I was in the teeth of the beast. That's about it, just the one, and because I could really barely string a sentence together, and everything was annoying to the point where I didn't want to watch movies or TV, and didn't want no light, sound, or noise. And I covered all that stuff before. I'm just I'm just, like I said, I'm just trying to stay sober, and not just take a pill just because now I know they're effective, and I also know that they're my enemy. And this is addiction, is that struggle inside yourself where you know something is bad for you, and for some reason you want to take it. And I don't feel good. I got lots of excuses. I don't need to even make any excuses to want to take a pill that would make me feel better. But I got a really good reason not to, and that's because I will feel like crap about myself if I do. Number one. Number two, kind of defeats the whole purpose of never having to deal with withdrawal again if I'm backsliding on my taper. And I can handle it, I can handle whatever I'm going through right now. I'm just not going to have a fun night, that's all. And it's already getting dark around here, so I shouldn't be awake too much longer. That's about an hour of me talking. I should probably drink some tea or something. Stop talking. But yeah, that's like with cigarettes. I know when somebody comes here, and I know a lot of people that smoke, when somebody comes and visits me and they got cigarettes, I know ahead of time, not only am I not going to get a buzz off of this cigarette, it's not going to make me feel good, there's a real good chance it's going to make me feel sick. Just like Xanax, in the long run, makes you feel sick. So, still, I want that cigarette. It's stupid. It's like, and I still can't deal with that. If somebody's smoking, I want to smoke. If I stay away from people that smoke, I don't smoke. But if somebody comes here and I even just know they got cigarettes, they don't even have to light up in front of me. I'm like, you got a cigarette? And I want to smoke, and I know it's probably going. I know it's going to take. I mean, I'm even to the point where I'm like a non-smoker, except for in my head. I'm like, it tastes bad to me, it smells bad to me, and half the time it makes me sick when I smoke. But I still want to smoke. That's addiction. It's like hitting yourself in the hand with a hammer on purpose, just because you're used to the whole idea of doing it. Or just because at one time maybe it felt good to do that. Like one time you enjoyed it. And I don't know, I don't understand the whole smoking thing all that well. And I do the Xanax thing, it makes more sense than the smoking thing to me. The smoking thing is a weird thing. But the Xanax thing, it kind of makes sense, because once your tolerance is down, like my tolerance is down now, taking that pill would make me feel better. It would have an effect. But in the long run, and I'm trying, it's just bad news. I have to break that whole chain and that whole cycle of taking that stuff every day, and taking more of it is not going to do that. So, I don't know why anybody would listen to this for an hour and 4 minutes and 42 seconds. listen to somebody struggling with this. And, you know, my stories weren't even that good this time. What few stories I told, I had no coherency as far as a through line or a topic or a theme. But yeah, it's therapeutic for me. And if somebody else can get something out of it or watch 10 minutes of it, I don't know. Like I said, I have no idea why anybody would sit here. And maybe it's just having company, because I'm pretty honest. You know, I would be more honest, but you have to protect people. You can't put people's stories and people's names and stuff on the internet. You just can't do that. You can't do that to people. That's wrong, you know. So, but as far as like my own feelings and hey, this is me. I'm honest. I'm a little less crude on here, just because I try to like be respectful of other people's sensibilities, you know. Still, man, I don't know if this is R-rated for language or PG-13. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, I'm pretty honest about my situation. I had a shit day today. I'm looking at it. I got a bad leg that needs addressed. I got like problems after problems, so I'm taking one problem at a time. I'm not thinking about the whole mess. I'm not thinking about the forest. I'm chopping down one tree at a time. So the tooth that was right here, that was a necrotic tooth that I was suffering with for 16 months. I've been the victim of a lot of bad dentistry. I had one good dentist, and they got successful and no longer took my insurance. But the rest of the dentists I've ever went to were bad. So they were misdiagnosing a necrotic tooth as a gum issue, and then trying to get money off of me and sending in insurance forms to, or sending in the x-rays to my insurance company, trying to get them to cover like a $1,200 procedure that I did not even need. What I needed was that dead tooth pulled out of my head, which I got done on Friday. 16 months I tried to get something done about that. 16 months. And I just believed them. You know, they showed me the x-ray and they said the tooth is fine. Bullshit. That tooth was fine. That tooth wasn't fine. And then I switched dentists after a few months of putting up with their nonsense, and go in there, and the first thing they do is show me the x-ray and point at the tooth in question and say, you see this big old abscess right here? And I'm like, right at that point I wanted to firebomb my old dentist, who I won't mention the name of the place. But I literally like, man, I can't ever go back in there again, because if I go back there again, I will lose my temper and I will have security hauling me out of there. Because, 16 months for a simple tooth pull to get done. 16 months of worrying about it blowing up into a bad toothache, or a serious, or you can get even more serious problems than that from your teeth. But I was mainly worried about it blowing up into a bad tooth. But every time I'd wash my face and touch right here, I would get like a like electricity, a spiderweb thing of pain, and I had a sensitive tooth. But I had that hanging over my head like a guillotine the whole time, and that didn't help my anxiety any. And then having all that trouble getting something done about it. But yeah, that tree is chopped down. Okay, the next thing I'm working on is kicking this Xanax habit, getting over that addiction. The next thing I got to do is I got to figure out what to do about my knee, because I can hardly walk. And I hopefully they can do some kind of surgery on it. I'll do whatever. I need to walk to lower my resting heart rate for my heart. I'm like in a survival situation, man. I got all these problems, and like my leg is standing in the way of me improving my heart situation, and also getting yourself in better physical shape is really good for your anxiety. And I don't want to. If anybody's actually still listening to this, I don't want to irritate any of those people that are out there that are suffering from benzo withdrawal, that get really annoyed about like diet and exercise, but I'm talking about when I'm off of it. When I'm off of it, it's going to make a big difference. I used to work out with weights a lot, and was a lot more active a person, and that just naturally lowers your stress. You know, I I don't see how I can do that stuff with a knee that doesn't work. How am I going to walk around with I stand up in a chair and it's touch and go whether I'm going to fall over. So that's the next thing I got to deal with. I'm just trying to take it one thing at a time. It would be nice if in the meantime my family and friends would just kind of help me out with it, but uh, can't count on that. No, you can't count on that. It would be nice. I got like um, maybe I got one person I can count on totally. That's a friend of mine that's older than me. I got I had a therapist tell me what you do is like you count on people for different things. This guy will help you in this way. This person will help you in this way. This person will help you in this way. Like I got a brother that um, I love that. Yeah, he can't do the emotional support thing. He can listen to me talk, but he's got other things going on. It's just not his thing. So, a lot of times I talk to him so much, a lot of times when I have days like today, and he has like really bad sleep trouble, so I'm always waking him up or something. He has real bad sleep disturbance because he grew up in the same house I grew up in with lots of fun stuff going on. So, anyways, I want to call him, just because I'm feeling bad, but I know he's not equipped for that, so you don't ask that of him. And I got another person that'll help me out with like physical stuff if I really need it. I can't drive, so they give me rides places or help me in some way. Or if I ever need to borrow money, they would loan me money. But I don't usually do that. I'm good with money. But they don't understand my situation and they don't understand my psyche, and they change the subject when I start talking about stuff that's too dark. And I'm sorry, but that's my lot in life, is a lot of darkness, a lot of badness. And if I'm going to talk about myself and you're going to change the subject when I'm talking about something that's hurtful and deep and personal, I'm not going to want to ever put myself in that position of vulnerability again with you. So, I can't do that with that person. The point being to this long spiel is like, it would be cool if you had these people where you could trust all of them, like with all your problems, but you can trust them with some of your problems. At least I have that. So I'm not real big on therapy, but I've been going to a therapist, and I learned like two things valuable in a lot of I don't know, maybe 2 years of therapy. But she said two things that were worthwhile. One of them is, when you need support, you can go to people for different things. You can go to the one guy if you need a little conversation and a little camaraderie. You can go to that one person if you need help with a couple of dollars. You can go to another person that might help you in this way. And you can get like little pieces. I got one guy that I think would help me with anything that I needed with, except for maybe if I went to the darker places, in my psyche, which I really don't expect nobody to go all the way down to the bottom of the well with me. I'm sorry, but I've seen just a lot, too much darkness and lived through too much horror. So I don't expect that from anybody. But yeah, that guy there, he's been aces all the way, and I can count on him. I told that guy, like, I can count on you not to kick me when I'm down. I can't count on anybody else not to do that. Like, you're the one guy I can count on. I was like, some people, I don't know what, they have that problem where they can't put themselves in your shoes, and it's like, how would you like it if somebody, say if you like cut off your finger with a table saw and you had somebody say, I told you so, and then, that's not helpful. In the same way, it's not helpful if you're like, man, I'm going through bad benzo addiction, and they're like, well, I told you so. It's the same goddamn principle. So why are you doing that? Would you like it if I did that to you? I don't understand where people come from with stuff like that. But anyways, I guess I should stop talking. My voice is getting a little raw. And yeah, if you listen to this far, it probably means you got a similar problem. Because I know I'm not that entertaining, and I know I probably don't even make that much sense half the time. And as far as being coherent and having like my brain works in a different way when it's not going through withdrawal, where it's like what would you call it? I think the Germans have a word for it, gestalten. Like I see the forest and I want to tell you about all the leaves on every tree, and everything is about detail to me instead of like this happened, and this happened, like in a linear fashion. I want to show you the whole forest instead of walking through it with you and looking at the little marks on there guiding you through when I tell a story. So that's just my nature. So I know that my brain kind of works differently than a lot of people's. So I know it's probably a terrible strain. I also know I'm not that good looking. That's for damn sure. Especially, yeah. So ain't nobody sitting on in here looking at me from my pleasant face. So I know that if you're watching this, that you're going through a benzo thing, and you want to hear somebody maybe talk about it, maybe distract you from your own misery in some way. So if I serve that purpose, good on me, and good on you for listening. So I'm going to end it there, because hey, I'm old and I got a lot of stories, and there's no reason for me to be so damn tedious. Old people are just so tedious with their stories, and we had attention spans back in the day, boy, before video games came out and people playing on their phones. Oh yeah. That's one thing we got you young people beat with, man, is we can explore a damn topic. We don't move on. Anyways, good on you people, and anybody suffering. I don't know what to tell you about that except for that day to day, man. Just day to day. If it helps anybody to see me on here gabbing away, then I done a good thing today, and I haven't done many good things today. So I want to say God bless, but I don't want to offend nobody. So I don't know why that phrase keeps popping in my head, but I'll say it anyway. God bless y'all, and the people that don't believe in that stuff, good fortune to you. And I'll talk to you next time.